Joe Hoffel, was the most telling, I thought, moment of our interview with Jim Matthews the last time, and I wish I had more time to pursue it. I asked about Joe Hoffel's campaign and some of his tactics. He spoke about, I believe it was Bob Asher, which I don't want to harp on Bob Asher too much, but he used Bob Asher in a way, connected him with Jim Matthews with the term bribery, and I asked how he felt about that campaign tactic, and that's how I saw it. And he said it was purely a campaign tactic. But here's what was most telling. He looked at me very straight-faced, very matter-of-factly, almost as if to say, Chris, we all do this. He said Joe Hoffel made his campaign up. Didn't necessarily believe any of it. He made it up. He said he stole it from you, stole his campaign from you because he had nothing negative to say about Montgomery County politics. So the first thing about Jim Matthews is he doesn't even leave the door open that a candidate might actually speak about their own credentials in a positive manner. That apparently is something you don't do in a campaign. Did Joe Hoffel do that? Did you do that? Did you just make this up? And do all candidates just make it up as they go along?
Well, I think that maybe Jim and Joe actually do that. I mean, when I say something, I actually think it to be true. Every position that I took during the campaign, I actually intend to advance that. As far as stealing the campaign issues that were used against Jim, one of the issues was that they hired former Chairman Ellis's girlfriend to work in the computer department or something. Well, I didn't give them that. I didn't even know about it. They hired that fellow to do contracting work, Andy Galata, to paid him a big contract because he was some friend of somebody's there. I had nothing to do with that. I mean, these are things that just were there.
But it seems as if candidates like Joe Hoffel, and maybe even you with Bob Asher, know people are only going to hear bribery, Jim Matthews, and they'll vote on that because they don't have a clue what you're talking about. Is that fair?
Now let's understand how this came up. I didn't bring this issue up. The Democrats, as you aptly have stated, brought up the issue of Asher being the major financial backer to Matthews, but they said it in a press release saying that I was taking money from Asher. Now, I'm the district attorney. Okay. I'm the highest elected law enforcement official in the county. I do not take money from known criminals. It doesn't matter if they were known criminals last week or 30 years ago. The chief law enforcement officer of this county has to be above reproach, and I don't knowingly take money from criminals. So I had to defend and say I did not take any money, nor was I benefiting from any money from Bob Asher. And the response from the media was, well, Matthews is. I said, Jim Matthews is his own man. He can make up his own mind on whether he takes money from Bob Asher or not. I have asked him not to, but that's his decision to make and not mine. And that's how this came up. It wasn't as though it just came out of the blue.
Let me ask you, do you think Jim Matthews is honest? Would you actually call Jim Matthews a liar?
Yes.
Would you say that Joe Hoffel is a liar?
I don't know Joe as well.
There was an editorial in the Inquirer a couple of weeks ago talking about how the only way to improve politics in this country is to remove liars. Should people like Jim Matthews and Joe Hoffel be removed from office?
Well,
I mean, are they lying?
Well, Jim Matthews is lying. I mean, he's lied on your television show, he's lied in newspaper articles, and demonstrably so. I mean, it's the big lie. You tell enough lies, maybe somebody believes it. I don't know, aside from the hiring of the cronies, I think that Joe Hoffel is implementing exactly what he said he was going to do when he was running with Ruth Damsker. The problem is that set of priorities was defeated by the voters, and Jim Matthews is permitting Hoffel to engage in that agenda, and he is going against what the voters asked for. But in real American money, not future money, but actual money, by my calculation, they have wasted $1 million in just 2 months.
How have they wasted $1 million?
We hired all those people for extra jobs, and then
all that's patronage.
All that's patronage money, and it was additional jobs. In other words, we created the jobs within the department of the commissioner to then pay Hoffel's cronies $90,000.
Okay, let's continue. But we do have to stop for a break. We'll come back on that thought right after this. So we'll be back right after these messages. Briefly, Bob Kearns. You've endorsed him for chairman of the GOP committee?
I have.
Who's Bob Kearns?
Bob Kearns is a political leader from Upper Gwynedd. He is the man who was defeated by the current chairman. a mistake that this county will come to rue, I am sure, because the leadership of the last 4 years has been deplorable. And if we don't take back the chairmanship of the county party and put it in the hands of somebody who knows how to lead, then if the county party can recover, which it may not be able to after what Matthews did, but if it can recover, this is the only way.
Ken Davis, current GOP county chairman, what are your thoughts on him?
I think he is an incompetent leader. It's been stunning to me that he could run the party into the ground so rapidly. The whole issue that faces us governmentally and the difficulties that we had in the election last year was as a direct result of Ken Davis' failure to exercise any sort of leadership at all. I mean, when we're faced with declining margins of victory, election cycle after election cycle, you need to recognize that you have to put up your strongest, most electable candidates to win the election. That's the job of the chairman. Even if you don't want to pick this guy because you don't like him, or you don't want to tell this guy he can't run because you do like him, the job is to make sure you win the election. And Ken Davis just did a terrible job of candidate selection and a terrible job of trying to bring people who were at odds together. In fact, he actually made it worse. It is stunning to me that the elected commissioners of our county don't realize that they shouldn't be giving a lobbying contract to the chairman of one of the political parties.
There does seem to be a conflict of interest there.
It's unbelievable.
Which Jim Matthews would deny.
Yeah, he voted to toss him off the contract when I made a big stink about it. But I mean, the bottom line is, the government shouldn't be paying $90,000 a year to the head of one of the political parties.
But with Joe Hoffel and Jim Matthews controlling things so much, and Joe Hoffel apparently really is the kingmaker here, and he has more control than either one of you, how are you going to have any influence to stop the cronyism, to stop the patronage? I mean, it's for the next 4 years of Montgomery County politics.
Well, because
it seems like it's getting worse.
Oh, it's much worse. Republicans never would have done this. Republicans have never done this. I mean,
did Ken Davis have a role in bringing you two together to keep the power with the Republicans, to keep control?
No, Ken Davis did nothing at all to try to stop the deal from happening. As a matter of fact, he's the only major political leader that I know of that hasn't been out front saying that Jim shouldn't have done it.
Now, Jim Matthews also says that this has been blown way out of proportion, that the Republicans are strongly behind him. There are just a few. Apparently, he sent 800 letters out to Republican committee members or whoever they were in Montgomery County, and he got 2 responses back. He said these are a few people jealous of him because he's in power. Is that all this is?
I have attended pretty much every political event that has occurred in our county, of which there have been dozens since the deal. Jim has attended almost none of them. I can tell you that he's practically shunned in Republican circles. There are about 50 or 60 of us that sit on the executive committee for the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. Jim Matthews was expelled from the committee by unanimous voice vote.
Expelled from the committee?
Expelled from the committee.
And why was he expelled from the committee?
Because he became a Democrat. I mean, you can't...
Now, he talks about Brian Miles. Brian Miles, apparently, he calls a troublemaker. He was I guess, the chairman of the Whitpain.
Still is.
Still is. Is Brian Miles a troublemaker in the Republican Party?
Brian Miles is a good, solid Republican trying to advance Republican interests. It is, I mean, it's like trying to turn up into down. When Jim Matthews goes and he essentially delivers Montgomery County on a plate to the Democrats, and Republicans complain about that, so all of a sudden those people doing the complaining are bad people. It's not going to wash.
I want to ask if you get HBO. Would you ever watch The Wire?
I have watched it, yes.
Okay. I don't know who watched The Wire is an excellent depiction of reality in inner city, and they do a lot about government, and there's a Mayor Carcetti. Mayor Carcetti is what politicians seem to be today, all about anything to advance himself politically, all about the issues. Do you see that in Montgomery County politics? Just politicians completely in it for themselves?
I think that that's the motivation of the 2 people who share seats on the county commission with me, and I think that that's been pretty evident.